Hello and welcome to Switched. This podcast explores the ins and outs of online schooling and parenting in the digital age. I'm your host, Aliyah Ibrahim, and today we have a special guest who has navigated the challenges of transitioning their child to online education. Our guest today will be sharing their first hand experience and insights on the journey into online schooling. From the initial decision making process to overcoming challenges and offering valuable advice for parents in similar situations. So, without further ado, let's dive into the world of online education and parenting.
Switched is a series of short lifestyle interviews that matter to the Switch community. And now, welcome to our guest.
I'm excited to welcome Mrs. Rishola Padiachi, a parent who has successfully transitioned their child to online schooling. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us, Mrs. Rishola.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me here today to share my experiences with you.
Great. Now, before we get into it, can you tell us how old is your child and what grade is she on the online platform?
So I have a daughter, she's 6 years old, and she's in grade 1.
Wow, starting online school from grade 1. Wow, that sounds amazing. So it sounds like, we could start right at the beginning, right at grade 1 and then work our way up. And they get that exposure as well. So can you share your experience in transitioning your child to online schooling and what motivated that decision?
Okay, so firstly, with us, we decided that online will be the way to go with our little one. So from day one, we actually decided we will be doing online. So there was no need for actually transitioning from conventional classroom to online. So it was actually quite easy, to start with the whole process with online schooling.
Okay.
Some of the things, some of the things that motivated us, and I think which is one of the main things that actually every parent looks at, is the safety factor. So for us to have our daughter in an environment where we know she's safe at all times and protected. So learning from home for us was actually the most important safety factor. And then other than that, it was convenience. With the traveling that's involved when you do have to take your child to a normal school, conventional school. So it was the traveling and unnecessary costs actually related to traveling, as well as, additional textbooks that you might need, uniform, some of those things that actually also cut off, expenses when you actually choose online. So affordability wise, continually investing in my child's education, but at the same time, keeping up with the changing world. So those were some of the things that motivated us towards online schooling.
Definitely. You raised a lot of good points there. It actually brings back so much memories to, when we were in school and we had to worry about, running after the transport or, getting our uniforms ironed, shoes polished, all of that ready for. But now with online school, the resources are unlimited. You just get it onto your laptop. Everything is at your fingertips. It's at your access, and it makes it so much easier for our kids. Now, can you tell us what were the initial challenges that you and your child faced when moving to online schooling, and how did you address them?
Okay, so we actually avoided challenges from day one. So, being prepared and knowing actually this is the route that we're going and what do we need to do before we actually started the whole online journey. So some of the things that we looked at, we actually joined one of the classes before we actually decided on which platform or which online school we're going to choose. So we actually joined a session where we actually checked, the interaction with the teacher. So our daughter was actually in a physical class, online obviously, but in a classroom with other kids, and you could actually see that interaction with the teacher and the kids. So that was one of the first things that we actually, or the first to overcome a challenge, to make sure that this is the right school. Other than that, we actually looked at things of joining orientation, making sure that we were present from day one, being involved, being orientated to the platform, knowing how to navigate on the platform. And obviously, my daughter was involved in all these sessions with us so that she herself can be familiar. And you'll be surprised that kids at such a young age, how quickly they actually adapt. With older people, you might take longer to adapt, but kids actually get it very quickly. So having her involved from day one with these processes actually helped with that process. And then Other challenges that we actually looked at was we knew that with load shedding, you're going to have internet interruptions. So we made sure that we actually have a stable internet connection, having a generator, having backed up devices that are fully charged, and then going onto an inverter. So, there's no interruptions with class. And then should the Wi-Fi dip, you have your 3Gs and, you can hotspot. So those were some of the things that we did to avoid challenges. So I think
Yes.
being prepared from day one actually is the most important thing.
No, definitely, I have to agree. And with the load shedding, I mean, well, I think every second parent, you say, or second or third parent would have some kind of backup in their house, because we need it for our own meetings or whether we're working from home. So, that can benefit the kid as well, transitioning to online school because you've already got it at home. So it's not
Yeah.
like, getting another one. So, can you tell us, how did you prepare your child for the online learning environment and, like, both technically and mentally?
So mentally, like I've mentioned previously, was the actual getting her into a class, letting her being present in that class, and having her have that mindset that this is the way that I'm going to go. So that was the first thing, was actually joining the classes. And then we allowed for easy adaptation. So we knew what was expected. So it was easy to actually prepare her for that. Um, Technically, joining the sessions, having her involved, she knew how to use the keyboard, the mouse. So just technical, basic computer things, not going into detail, but just knowing how to join online, where here's the classrooms. So looking at the dashboard, knowing, okay, this is where I need to join my class, this is where I need to find my homework. So things like that. So those were like orientation, like I would say, and the support that we got from Switch in that process of, if you needed something, there was always IT support readily available. So that actually assisted a lot as well. So you're not, unsure and afraid that, I'm not going to know what to do, because from day one, you actually know who you can contact. And I mean, within minutes, you responded, you get a response, and you can actually continue with your day and with your class.
Well, no, I see that
If
has
I can just add
made
one
even
more
more.
thing for getting her mentally prepared, sorry,
Yeah.
is that we have a space for her, so a dedicated space for her. So
Yes.
in the house is a dedicated space where she has her desk, she has her own computer. So it's her own setup as if she was in a classroom. And this is not in a room, or environment where she plays. So she
Yes.
knows that when she's in this environment, this is now her school environment. So that
Wow.
actually helped a lot.
Yeah. No, that's great, especially at such a young age. It gets them used to that whole routine, gets them used to the schedules, to fall in place, to fall in sequence. Now, that's very good. So, can you discuss the role of parental involvement and support in your child's online education? And do you have any tips for other parents in this regard?
So one of the most important things I can say is to be involved from day one. So from day one, from orientation, and then you just be involved there on every single time. So make sure that you know what's going on with your child's class. So often, you'll just check up, make sure that there's good interaction. So being actively involved, and that's very important. To have that. Because obviously the teachers do extend their teaching role, but that needs to be followed through as parents as well, to ensure that your child is still getting that education from both sides. And then that support is very important, because they shouldn't feel alone in this process. And because it's online, even though there's activities that they do for them to interact socially, but they need to know that they have that parental support as well, so that they're able to socialize better, and with confidence as well. So it just helps with that aspect of getting them used and familiar, and knowing that mommy and daddy are here for me. So if there's anything, if there's any challenges, we are there to support her. So that is one of the most important things I would say. So that brings in, the collaborative approach from both the teacher and the parent being actively involved in this process. Um, and then it also creates a positive environment for the child to actually be able to learn, because if she knows she has that support, and the parents are involved in education and checking up on her and not neglecting her while she is in this process, that environment actually helps to learn as well. So that's very important with this online education and online schooling that we've chosen. So it helps with development skills, social skills. Also, it sets up a child for lifelong learning. So she's aware that she knows that this is the way forward, and she's comfortable with this way. So she will actually embrace future, teaching and learning. So it actually helps with that as well. So it's long-term success, encouragement and support. If there's any tip or that I could actually give anybody, it's to be involved from day one. Join the sessions. There's lots of times where we have parent-teacher meetings in between. Be involved in that. Attend those meetings. Communicate to the teachers if you're not sure of anything, and check up on progress. I think that's very important to see that they are academically, achieving where they should be. So those are some of the things. And I think the like I said, if I can't overemphasize being actively involved. Don't let your child feel alone in this process. So just be there and support them and encourage them.
Yes, Naja, I'm so happy to hear you speak about this. Like you got it like under control. I'm so glad. Like, it's really great, and it makes me so happy to listen to you speak like this, because when you speak about kids and their education, you have to also be as a parent, you have to know that you need to be there, for your kid, because it's not just them that's going to be in this situation. It's also them transitioning into a whole new, digital world even, because with this school, we're leaving behind traditional ways, we're leaving behind traditional schools, the whole blackboard, that whole idea, that whole ideology is scrapped. We don't need that anymore. So yeah, no, it really I think it was very helpful from all your tips and all of the advice that you shared. Thank you so much. Well, folks, you have it straight from an experienced parent who already has her kid in our online school. And that concludes our insightful conversation with Mrs. Rishola Padiachi about the journey of online transitioning to online school. A big thank you to our guest for sharing their valuable experiences. All right. If you have found this episode helpful, stay tuned for more engaging discussions on various topics related to online education and parenting. We'll be covering various topics and to navigate the ever-evolving landscapes of digital education. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, which is called Switched, and you can find that on YouTube, or catch all our upcoming episodes in the future to come. You can also visit our website at www.switchedu.online for more additional resources and information. I'll just repeat that. Our website is www.switchedu.online. If you have a topic that you'd like us to explore, please reach out to us on social media. All of our social media handles are on our website, or drop us an email at support@switchedu.online. Your feedback is invaluable. I'll mention that email again. It's support@switchedu.online. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mrs. Rishola Padiachi. Until next time, this is Alia Ibrahim signing off from Switched. Stay curious, stay engaged, and keep learning. Thank you.
Thank you to our guest, and thank you for listening.